Welcome to Boatrek Live. I'm here with Marcelo, and today we're just going to be hanging out and talking about whatever. But one thing we want to get to is may not be for everybody, but on the replay there will be timestamps, so you can just skip ahead if you don't like any particular subject. But thank you for being here, Marcelo, and let's get started.
Thank you.
Now, me and Marcelo have been fans of this YouTuber for a number of years, like a decade almost. His name is John Campea. And I've never really talked about John Campea before. And I felt the need to because he's been doing a movie type, as you described it, Marcelo, ESPN style movie commentary kind of deal for about 10 years or more. It started with, he's from Hamilton, Ontario. He started a movie blog over like 20 years ago that got popular, and then he started a YouTube show called For Your Consideration. I could be skipping over some details, but then he went into doing a movie talk show with AMC. Then I believe he moved on to Collider, and then he did his own thing. And he's incorporated guests over the years like the late great John Schnepp, director of The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. He's worked with Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis,
Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Loved Amy Rose Eisenbach. Don't ever send her pictures of clowns.
Yeah.
So many people, like just off the top of my head.
Dennis Zen.
Jonathan, he used to call him Fact Checker Jonathan. He's still there, but he's only been on camera in recent years. And for years and years now, it seems like so long, he's had this show that you have different segments throughout, and it's always been live. Usually, there's always been changes, but usually there's live shows that are long form. And John has decided to stop doing that. Now, he's also talked about retiring and all this stuff. Now, just to be clear, I'm not here to bash YouTubers. I think it's an interesting subject because now this person I've been watching for 10 years, to watch the live show, I have to become a member and pay. And I'm just not willing to do that because I'm just so accustomed to getting it for free. There's already ads in the video, and if you don't have YouTube Premium, you're getting ads on top of that. But now they're in segments, and it's gotten some, vitriolic response here and there. But other people are cool with it. Doesn't seem to be affecting him in any negative way yet. It's only been the first day that he's been doing this. But I got to admit, Marcelo, it rubbed me the wrong way when I heard about it. I was like, oh, fuck this. And I can't stay mad at the guy because I don't hate John Campea. I don't love John Campea. The best thing about John Campea is that I agree with about half of what he talks about, and he's always had those great guests over the years. And recently he had Robert Meyer Burnett on, who, is okay in small doses. I like Robert. I can't exactly watch like the very long live streams that he does where he increasingly gets inebriated and weirdly sexual at times. Same thing with John. John, I think part of the live shows is like they say these stupid sexual things that on the surface is like, oh, funny, but it's like, dude, you're talking about your boner. Like we're talking about like X-Men right now. Like we don't want to hear it's just those little things that like are my biggest criticisms of these guys. Other than that, like they hate something I love or love something I hate. I don't really take it all that personally. I've been blabbering on. What do you think of this whole situation? Has this rubbed you the wrong way? Do you still gonna watch him?
No.
By the way, are you a member? I forgot to ask you. I'm sorry. Are you a member? Because I'm not.
No, I am. No, I am not a member of the John Campea channel on YouTube. To be honest with you, over the last little while, over the last maybe year or so, the only reason that I've been going to the John Campea channel in the first place was for the live show. I very rarely, I very rarely listen to the open mics or the spoiler discussions. So essentially, the only reason I was there for the live show, but now that John has made this change in policy, I have no need or no desire to actually visit his physical channel. If I just want to listen to this new version uh, of of uh, of the live show, I can get access to it on on my
Podcast form.
yes, on podcast form on Apple Podcasts. Thank you. But even that version of the show, I listened to some of it a couple hours ago, and it seems to be like it just sounds different. First of all, there's a commercial in the front of there's like this long ad in the front of it, and then it goes into the John Campea show, but it seems edited. It doesn't seem natural. And the other thing that I found very, very weird, it seemed like he was speeding through it. Um,
It's strange. Like I thought, it was to me. It's like it ain't broke, don't fix it situation. Like you're just making it's not that much worse. I'm not like devastated over it. It's just like, huh? Does this make sense? And will it? Time will tell if he keeps doing this. Uh, it could work to his benefit. But
yeah, I
like
mean,
you said, we're the 20% that don't matter, Marcelo.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
play my little
20%.
violin and cry now. No,
Yeah,
but
this is the smallest violin.
but the thing about live streams is that the least amount of people watch when it's live.
Mm-hmm.
Most of views in almost any live stream are achieved after the fact. Even if you see some of the big YouTubers probably got 4,000 people watching them while they're live, well, that video goes on to get like 125,000 views or something. Uh, and cite different examples for that, but yeah, you know those not YouTubers who will get millions of views every. But some live streams, it's strange. It's like wow,
Mm-hmm.
tens of
No, I
thousands of people are watching this.
yeah, no,
So
I look.
he's a small YouTuber, John. Like if he's small, then I'm like microscopic. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
And I
Like
yeah, yeah, and I don't even exist, people. No, but when he laid out his decision and his thought process as to why he was doing this, it felt very, 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 it felt very, very, very excuse heavy because because he said that for the past months they've been looking at the analytics, and he's discovered through the analytics that the shorter videos that he puts up from pieces of his live show do better than the full show does, and that to me seems a little bit suspect because you did mention that he has been looking he's been talking about potentially retiring in 2 to 3 years. So I believe, look, I may be wrong, I believe that he just used this analytic thing as his scapegoat to sort of transition into easier work while he is planning his big exit or his retirement. Now I could be
yeah,
wrong. I could be wrong, but that's what it feels like to me.
yeah, he's made out like I can retire at any time, but I'm gonna
No,
probably
you can't.
go until at least Superman Legacy 2025. But see, the thing is, if you're gonna transition the show, because he said that if he retires, he's gonna do a podcast anyway. So it would
Yeah,
probably be an audio only deal. I think he would
right.
still have a camera there, like kind of like what he does with open mic, which I used to
Right.
watch them back in the day, but you know, it's
No,
there's a lot of stuff to watch. You can't.
yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
like the
yeah.
live show. It's like you get the bits,
Mhm.
and that's your movie live show for the day. Because when it where I am in Newfoundland, it's 3 p.m. that it comes on, and
Okay,
people have
3
complained
p.m.
about the
Wow.
time. But it's
Wow.
very early
No,
where they are. It's in Los Angeles. It's in the morning still, and on the East Coast it's like
it's a,
1:30.
it's a, yeah, yeah. On the East Coast is 1:30. But I look until a couple years ago, what I used to do is I never used to watch John live. What I used to do is I used to watch John after I had dinner every day. But I never used I didn't actually start watching the live show until a couple years ago. Um,
And yet,
y-
and anybody who wants to watch a live show can't always watch it live, depending on what's going on that day. It's like
mhm.
it's a weird time. It's not a weird time of day. It's just like how do
The
you?
other
There's time zones too. It's like you can't really satisfy a set group
right, right. The other
unless you're in
thing,
a
the other
sweet spot where it's like it comes on as soon as I get off work type of thing, or come home from school, or but yeah.
mhm.
It's just weird not to have it anymore. Like this Monday, it's like, and he has the
It's weird.
segments,
It was strange.
and I'm like clicking on them, like giving it a chance because I don't want to be a prick about it. I mean, I was a little bit like, this is what is he doing? I was like a lot of the people in the comments, although I didn't comment, only put the timestamp for when he made the announcement. But I never thought I'd ever be talking about him in this way. Because I think, and listen, it's his own business. He can do what he wants. It's like more power to you if it works for you. And I don't see him losing like a ton of subscribers or anything over it. It's just that 20% is like, nah, fuck, no, Jesus, that was a good part of my day. I didn't catch it every day, but like I liked, getting ready to go, take a walk, listen to it type of thing. And he did point out that a lot of people just do listen to it. They don't even watch the video on YouTube. So it's like,
Right.
why not just do the podcast?
Mhm.
It's like, all right, that's if it works out. But
No, I took a.
I'm not. This is not a diss on John, but I'm looking for the John Campea alternative because there hasn't been many people who do it like that, where it's
You know what it is?
organized. There's graphics and
I already
questions,
found
and
it.
it's like
You know who it is? It's
John
Rob.
Roca.
No, it's Rob.
Oh,
I'm gonna because I'm like
as a daily news show, no.
no,
I
but,
mean,
but,
I don't mean someone like John though. I mean like somebody who does who does that format, and it's not
Right.
easy. It is expensive,
Right, yeah.
and it's like you put it behind a paywall. Now it's like, do you expect to make more bucks out of this? Is that a real possibility?
But the most absurd thing is when John made the announcement that he was going to do this, that he was going to put the live show behind a paywall. There was so much confusion that John had to clarify the show as it is ending. What the people behind the paywall are getting access to is the video version of what we get on the podcast. And I'm like, really? That is what you're giving the people behind the paywall? That sucks. I mean, I was like, I wouldn't even pay for that. If I had money, I wouldn't even pay for that. I thought that he was putting he was putting the entire live show behind the paywall, but what he's putting behind the paywall is just the edited clips, which is what we get on the podcast. But with video.
Okay, because I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking, that now if anybody watches this and is a member, please clarify.
Please chime in.
Nobody's going to be watching this live because I didn't tag it, but if my impression was that the show would be as was the way it was like before, but only members could watch the live stream, much kind of like if there's an actual live stream, you have access to that, how you can only be a subscriber to comment type of thing. Like it would still be there, but like me who's not a member is like, you do not have access to this or something, or it's private or on, something like that.
Right.
But the fact that it's a pre-recorded show. It's not. The John Campea show's over as it was a live show.
Yeah, yeah, it
So
is. As
and
a
that
matter
just
of
came out of
fact,
nowhere. That's like, oh come
yeah,
on,
it did.
man.
No. And the thing about it,
Couldn't you
the
have?
thing of
And I would have liked an announcement like, "Hey, it's 6 weeks. We're
yeah,
gonna end it. I'm
no,
gonna
and the,
retire, and then I'm gonna do an audio only podcast." And what happened to Chris Carr today? Is Chris Carr gone? She was
no, no,
great.
no, no, no.
Oh, okay.
Chris Carr is not gone.
Okay,
Chris
good.
Carr, because look, that's the other thing about John that I kind of don't like. Every time, just real quickly, every time that somebody, every time that somebody has a falling out with John, they're there one day and then they just disappear. He doesn't give
They disappear
explanations.
like Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't give explanations to turnover for personnel unless they're really big like Rob. And the excuse he gave for Rob is I mean, you and I know it's a bunch of hooey. Like, really?
Well,
He fired Rob. He said. Sorry, I don't want to come. Listen, people. I'm not.
just to be clear, there's no bad blood between
Yeah,
Rob and
yeah,
John, as far as we
yeah,
know. So
yeah.
it's not a
And
situation where
no, no,
John was pissed at Rob and said, "I got to
no.
get rid of you." It's
He
like
just couldn't. He
it's
just
like,
couldn't
hey,
afford
hey,
him.
hey, hey, Rob, buddy, I can't afford to do this.
Every.
I need more money. And listen, I have no say in why people need a certain amount of money for this, that, and the other thing. People will complain like, "Well, John lives in a nice house and his wife makes good money," and it's like, and
He's
he
got an
he
indoor
bought a
pool.
camper, and it's like, but that's really not none of your business. If it's anybody's business, it's those of the members who pay him a monthly fee to have any opinion about that. If not, like, what does it matter? You're
Yeah.
not contributing to his prosperity. It's like
Hmm.
I don't understand that kind of like criticism of this person lives in a nice house and they have 4 dogs or something. It's like I don't have that,
What
so
does that matter?
they,
That has
they
nothing to do with
shouldn't put
anything.
they. My issue with the paywall is like if I could afford it, like things, inflation, everything's fucked now. Like so, people got to be very choosy. I rotate through streaming services because I can't have them. I can't have like 2 or 3 at the same time. I guess I get 2 for free because
Really?
I'm
Okay.
off somebody else, Crave and Prime Video,
Cool.
and the other ones I have to kind of like cycle through and pick and choose. Before it was like I want them all so I can see everything whenever everything's on, and it's like no, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
used
what
to.
I just want to say I'm not complaining about the
That's okay.
like I just don't. It's just weird to. It's like it's almost like this. What's a good chat? Red Letter Media. I love a lot of their content. They're very laid back and funny and old school and kind of crass, and they have well edited commentary videos, and they tackle a wide range of media. It's very refreshing. Even
Mm.
as entertaining as much as I love those guys, if they were like, "Pfft, now we have all our good videos in these certain segments, you can only watch if you're a member, a channel member," like, oh no, sir. But granted, they're doing much better because they're much more popular. I mean, they're in the ether. They're the kind of YouTubers that regular people know about. Like
Right.
people are like, "You ever heard of Red Letter Media?" I'm like, of course. Nobody talks about YouTubers in real life, in my life. Some but people will bring up like they used to bring up Screen Junkies, not as trailers, and Pitch Meeting Guy,
Whatever
certain
happened to
things
Honest
like
Trailers?
that.
Is that still running?
What shows that?
Is Honest Trailer still running?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Okay, go. Okay.
it is still running.
No, but like besides you and me, I only know one other person that knows who the hell John Campea is to begin with.
I don't know
And
anybody in real life who knows who he is.
yeah, and
That's not a knock on him. It's just
no, yeah,
a lot of people don't know who a lot of
right.
people on the internet are. It's just the way the world is now. It's just too saturated with so many different things. It's like I don't know any music people. If I watched the Grammys, I'd be fucking lost. I don't
No,
know
I
a
mean
song by Lizzo. I know who Lizzo is. I got a faint idea of one of her songs in my head. Same thing with Cardi B or Nicki
Cardi B.
Minaj or Drake. Like I'm like,
I don't know
do I
any.
know any of their song? Like I'm trying to think. Like
No, I don't. I
I
don't know
think I
any of their
do,
songs.
and
Like
half the names I don't even know. You know when
yeah,
they
I
announce these
like
people who die, like
hmm
young musical artists,
I don't know who the hell they are.
I'm like, I feel so out of touch and old.
No, I feel old. I don't like half the music my cousins listen to. I mean, granted, they're adults now, so their music taste has evolved a bit. But half of the music they listen to, I have no idea who the fuck they are. And I discover music by way of Spotify. Like the other day. I mean, we'll get back to John in a second. The other day, I discovered a band called the Wailing Jennies. And and they're great. They do mostly acoustic stuff, whatever.
The
Like
Wailing
the
Jennings.
yeah the Wailing Jennies, yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
like it's a play on Waylon Jennings, the
Yeah.
musical artist.
Yeah. So um yeah, but they're great. But I'm like you. I don't know any modern music. And if I listen to modern music, like I know who T Swift is. T Swift is taking over the planet, so there's no way that I can't know who she is. But that's like a
Oh,
cop out, right?
T Swift. Taylor Swift. I was like,
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
T
T
Swift?
Swift. Taylor Swift.
I honestly can't even name a Taylor Swift song.
Like no, like
I I can't
there's
even think of I can't even think of the tune of one.
there's Red, there's Dear John, there's here I have a bunch of Taylor Swift things.
And
Hold on, just give me one
Ed Sheeran, he's another one.
Yeah.
I hear his name a lot. I'm like,
Yeah.
I couldn't name a song. I don't
Ed
listen to that
Sheeran.
part of the radio that has modern music. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
fucking 90s like Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all
Oh,
these
come
people.
on. I love I have a playlist on my phone that's all 90s music. I made myself a 90s music playlist and it's just great. I got Pearl Jam on there. I got Nirvana on there. I got Alanis Morissette. I got I got a whole bunch of
Like
people on there.
and you know that the 90s had some great albums.
They
Green Day's
did.
Dookie, uh,
Yep.
Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. Uh,
Yep.
Jesus, I could go on. But
So, so,
I
so.
really love Bush.
Bush is great too.
They were called Bush X in Canada because there was already a band called Bush here, but they
Really? Bush X?
figured that out. Bush,
Oh
you
my
know why I
god.
like Bush? Because
Why?
they were a weird band that a lot of people were like, oh, it's kind of like with this John Campea thing. Like you get certain people who hate him so much that they like bring his like family members and his wife into the conversation. It's like,
Right.
whoa, he's just a dude. Like he's not a political leader who commands the deaths of many people with his
Of
war
millions,
bombs.
right?
Like
I
it's
do.
not that big. It's not like that. Like Jesus, you have more vitriol for like some dude in California, some Canadian in California than some people who are actually fucking up your life directly. But
No,
it's not meant for me to. That's everybody has their issues and prerogative.
yeah,
But see,
I
this is the thing
mean,
about YouTubers. Some YouTubers invite a lot of
vitriol.
vitriol because
Hmm.
they're loud and they're abrasive. John's kind of like he's
Yeah,
ranted over the years. You can find
hmm
his rants on YouTube, John Campea rants in different
they're
formats.
famous.
And but I've never understood like how he's attracted. Like people will come out and say he's a racist. Now he did full disclosure he did do a review of Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, which I think he's still left up.
I think it's still
Where
there.
he uses a racial slur to describe two stereotypical characters, and people have like brought that up. He's had some weird blog entries over the years, like in regards to like how two men kissing make him sick or something. Uh, he's written like weirdly misleading and sarcastic articles about like one was I think entitled "Why I Hate Jewish People" or something, and then it was like it was provocative, meant it was meant to make you think like, oh, why does John Campea hate? And it's like, no, it's actually sarcasm and it's this and that, and it's like not what it seems. In that sense of being a provocateur, if you do enough digging, you can be like, well, 10 years ago and 20 years ago and 15 years ago, he said these not cool things. Well, the question is, does he keep saying not cool things? Like I've said before, like the worst thing, my biggest complaint with Robert Meyer Burnett and John Campea, just to lump them together for a second, they're both very different, but I thought they had a great dynamic on the John Campea show. But just, it's like the weird sexual kind of innuendo and stuff like that. It's like, come on, you're not Howard Stern. Don't try. It's like certain people can get away with that stuff. Like Kevin Smith can be at times absolutely
he could be rough,
disgusting.
Yeah,
it's like, you know what? When he says it, it's not that. It's done in this kind of like weird, old and creepy kind of way, but it's not.
It's okay because it's Kevin.
It doesn't feel malicious in any way, but just I'm not. Listen, by the way, I'm not bashing on Rob. I caught one of his midnight musings with his friends that he has on there, different ones over, but he usually has these two people on, and they get into sexual talk and stuff, and I won't get into this too much. But then, like, Rob's like, oh, I hit the G. Something about, oh, this is how I hit the G spot. Like, he gets in the, I was like, oh, no, dude. Well, it's not that I think you're disgusting as a human being, so therefore when you talk about sexual things, it disgusts me. It's like, no, I'm here for the philosophy and the movie stuff and the...
I'm here, you know...
It gets a little offhand. It's like, I think you should have jerked off before you went on air or something, because... Anyway, see, John said one time last week, he's like, just out of nowhere, I never lost my boner so fast. And it's like, where'd that come from? And you see, and it's kind of funny. But people will take that and like, this is so offensive. And he said this thing about a movie I loved. And he says Batman Beyond, excuse me.
You okay?
Is never going to happen.
Oh,
I'm talking too much.
Happen.
I have to clear my throat. But anyway, take it away.
I do think that John and Rob did have a potential of running away with some of the things that they said and putting it in some sexual innuendos that may have been taken the wrong way from some individuals.
Not usually together, by the way. I'm talking about them usually separately.
Right.
You know what? The best thing about John and Rob together is there would be a topic or a question.
Yeah.
And then Rob would be like, and he'd go, and then maybe like, blah, blah, blah. And and John would be like, okay, Rob. But what about the question? And Rob's gone on for like 5 minutes, and John would get irritated. To John, probably that's like, oh, this is not a good part of the show. But to the audience, it's like fucking gold. And when that went away, and yes, Chris is still there, and Ray is still there, and there's like, it's not like it's completely just John, but it's like when you take away parts of it, I get it. You're explaining to us that you can't afford it. It's not financially viable. Mm-hmm. But then on top of this, somewhere down the line, you're like, now the live show, it's not really even a live show anymore.
No, it's not.
And it's behind a paywall. You have to be a member. That's a perk I get it. It's a perk for your members. Cool.
But it's like, a lame perk.
Why not just retire and just do an audio podcast? Just audio.
It's no, but here's the thing. Look.
It's his
I
life.
Understand.
It's his life.
Yeah.
I guess.
Look. You're right.
I'm not trying to be like, you should do this, John. It's like I'm just pondering, and I'm glad. I'm glad you're here with me to talk about it. I'm sorry to cut you off there. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I mean, look. If you wanted to move the main show off of off of main YouTube and put it behind a paywall, then fine. But take the whole show and make the whole show, but make it for your channel members. But don't take the don't take the main show off of YouTube, turn it into a clip show, and then offer that to your channel members with video. Because if I was a channel member, that wouldn't be worth it to me. Like if I'm a channel member, I'm expecting a lot more from you, John, than just a clip show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it is so confoundingly confusing why John has made some decisions the way he has over the last little bit. I think it was in the Ask Me Anything um a while back when a viewer asked him who makes more money in the household, right? And John was like, "You won't believe this, but I make more money than Ann does." And I'm going, "If you make more money than Ann does, then how come you can't afford?" I really don't understand his rationale for what he's doing, because essentially what he's doing right now is he's torpedoing his own channel. He took away the foundational thing that his channel was built on, the John Campea show, aka Movie Talk 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever you want to call it, and he turned it into a clip show. And look, he can,
Let's see if he sticks to it. If he sticks to it,
yeah.
let's see if he actually loses subscribe. He has 324,000, I think, right now.
Yeah, the other thing that I found very interesting was, since he made this announcement yesterday for us at the time of recording, every like little clip that comes out from today's show has got like 4K views on it. Like 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 the individual clips from the clip show that he puts behind the paywall.
Yeah.
Those clips are doing very, very well now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if his strategy is working out for him,
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? Sorry, 20% who actually liked the live show and became so accustomed to it. And like I said, it's not the end of the world or anything.
No,
It's just
it's
worth
not.
talking about it because it's like, it's odd, he's in the past when the show has changed or become something else. He's given like the viewers sufficient time, like, hey guys, in the coming weeks we're gonna be changing and doing this and that. Like, he'll explain it. But
But this came
you
out of
know what?
nowhere.
Though it's irritating for me, I I did unsubscribe from him. Here's the thing about me though. I subscribe and unsubscribe from people all the time. It just depends on like what that week or even month that I want to have like a time on a certain, like Dan Merle, John Roca, Christian Harloff. These are all people, like everybody I've ever subscribed to. At times I will. What motivated me to unsubscribe from John this time, and I've subscribed and unsubscribed over the years for no personal reason at all. It's just my preference of like who I want to follow at the time. It's just a little objection to, you know what? I subscribed for the live thing. It doesn't mean I won't watch the clips. That's why I think like it won't affect him that much if he keeps on this course. But he has been talking about retirement, and people have pondered: is this him like trying to either fast track it or deliberately kind of test people to say like, well, if you really want to watch the whole thing, like pay for it or whatever. People saying he's trying to get more money out of people, and I think all of that speculation is pretty much harmless. I just want to remind people that like we're all human, and he is just a person. He's not some kind of like authority that you need to take personally, and then like
Here's the thing.
get in the chats talking about his wife and his grandma and stuff. Some of the stuff is really like dark, and it's like, wow, does anybody deserve to be talked about like this? Like, it's as if like and John has joked about this even in his early days. Talked about like how his opinion has like angered people. He's like, you wouldn't know if I'd gone up, knocked on their door, and like smacked their mother in the face or something like that. You know, you wouldn't like. We all have to like. I know it's cliche, but
calm
on the
down
online sphere, it's just psychologically, spiritually better if we like at least try to get along. That's why usually in the John Campea chats or the Robert Meyer Burnett chats, usually very different groups of people, some of them the same folks, but it's usually pretty civil. You don't get a lot of like messed up kind of comments, and I've been in some like John Campea focused chats where it's like, oh fuck, this feels like a dark, sickly place. Feels like I'm in like that hospital scene in Jacob's Ladder where it's like progressively getting more and more gruesome in terms of like the comments and the vitriol. It's like I understood the poking fun. I'm PJ's channel. I had a channel called PJ's channel, and 10 years ago I did a video called John Campea Rants, and I shared it with John. Embarrassed the fuck out of him and loved it. Laughed her ass off. I remember the first time I shared that on Facebook when I had Facebook. People were like, "Oh, that's cool, man," because they were like, "Who did this?" And I was like, "Me!" Like, I did it.
Me.
Like,
You know,
I give me credit, but
you
I
know,
was just. But here's the thing: there was a few people who were like, "You're a fucking asshole. Why do you hate
really.
John?" I'm like, "Oh my god, you're not thinking clearly. You clearly don't get the point." And people would look at. I made like 10 altogether because he just kept ranting. Right? I stopped like 2016 or something. I was like, "Yeah, that's enough. I can't do these anymore." It's because I couldn't watch all of his content. It was just too much. He was like doing more and more and more. And other people were clipping his rants. So I'm like, other people have taken over this task of clipping the rants, right? Which nobody was doing when I was doing it. I'm not saying I started. I'm just saying he was so kind of like obscure. I was like, there's this guy, and I would tell people, like, there's this guy on the internet, John Campea. He does this movie show, but man, he gets really pissed off sometimes, and it is fucking hilarious. He's like, I don't want no 80-pound Wonder Woman. Like, Gal Gadot's too skinny. Yeah, it's like these things that don't matter don't mean shit now at all. Like, don't mean anything at all. We're taken so seriously. Like, that's the funny thing about it.
No, but my favorite rant video that you always that you ever put together was the one where you plays clips about him pushing the panic button on DC. But
his DC rants were pretty fucking. Yeah.
I only have one complaint. You always cut them a little early before he actually said, fucking, push the panic button, push it now.
Yeah, and it's funny. Most people get that. That's in good. It's in good.
Yeah, it's in good taste.
It's good taste, good spirit, or whatever. I mean, people can complain about like how they're edited because they're very like kind of like all over the place, right? And they're meant to be jokey and funny, but people have like said to me like, "You fucking hater, piece of shit," and very, very, very seldom does this happen. And I'm like, huh? It's like you can't read between the lines in these little edits. But then you get other people who will edit things with his content that is nefarious. It's edited in a certain way to shit on him, like, and even that can be like, okay, it's kind of amusing, but some of it gets like, you can bring your dead grandmother into it and talking about like, you're gay, John, you're gay. It's like, what? For one thing, when you start using gay as an insult, that just fucking shows who you are. Like, that just shows your maturity right there, because like, this is not the 1990s when you would call somebody gay to insult them. You do it now. People are like, "Oh, you're fucking weird. You're fucked up. You don't understand that. Like, that's not cool." But
I mean, it's gonna be.
I can't take some of that shit. That's. Go ahead.
Right. No, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens to to the movie online space if John stays on this path. And even if somewhere down the road he realizes that he made a mistake, John's great, but John has a really really big ego. Even if he comes to the conclusion that he made a mistake, I don't think that he would take it back and bring everything back because he has such a giant ego that I don't think that he would want that egg on his face if he were to say, let's say in about maybe a month, 2 months, reverse his decision and bring everything back.
I think if he was like, hey, I'm gonna bring it back the way it was because I was getting backlash or and I was wrong. Like people can admit to being wrong and then like switch it back up. But I don't know if it to me it seems like the strategy is well if these segments are gonna like really drive the channel more so than any live show, and if the people the segment of my fans really want to see a version of that full show, that's one of the perks of being a channel member, and so be it. By the way, just if people are like, well, are there any other people like John Campea out there? People
There
bring
are.
up Grace Randolph a lot, and Grace Randolph
Oh,
for years, I don't watch Grace Randolph. I don't know enough about her. The one time she rubbed me the wrong ways when she implied that John and his wife were Disney shills, and like I think she meant it, and that was like, huh? And it's like getting in like personal territory of like accusing other YouTubers of things like what was this? Somebody said yesterday in the chat, it's like John's getting a divorce. I'm like, what? Like he just had breakfast with his wife. He said on his live thing. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like all this weird kind of like just people just pulling shit out of their ass and saying, I don't like this YouTuber, so their wife's having an affair. It's like, and you think that will get traction? Why don't you go work for the Inquirer, sir, or ma'am? Uh, Marcelo's disappeared. He's had enough of my bullcrap. I don't know if Marcelo's gonna come back, but we were talking about John Campea. We're gonna not talk about John Campea anymore because there are other things going on, like the writer strike. And you know who was a writer? Marcelo, but he left, or he got a bad connection, or something. Um, well, since the only topic was going to be Campea, I was going to offer some alternatives. Like I said, Grace Randolph is somebody who a lot of people watch that I don't, and well, I like Dan Murrell. I like John Roca, Christian Harloff, those guys. Um, yeah. Uh, what happened to Marcelo? Left me all alone here by my lonesome. All right, guys. I don't think he's going to come back. So I will end the stream now. Oh, wait. I'm getting a message. Okay. He said his internet crapped out. He'll be back in a second. Yeah, this writer strike. I don't know much about it. It's not going to affect me all that much. I hope they get what they want. I know this whole thing about streaming and residuals now. Writers don't make as much. They don't get their nut like they used to. That's a term from Succession. By the way, Succession is a show that is ending this month. And Barry is also a show that is ending this month. And Ted Lasso is a show that is ending this month. And all three of those shows are quite good. I've heard some backlash against Ted Lasso, like it's not as good as it was. To me, the first season was the best. Second season was as good, maybe a little less good, but still really good. The third season was at a rough start, but seems to be going okay. Barry is a dark comedy on HBO. I won't give any spoilers for Barry, but it stars Bill Hader. This is just the basic setup. He's an assassin for hire who wants to live a normal life, so he starts taking an acting class with an ex-actor named Gene Cousineau, who is despised in Hollywood for being a notorious asshole, and he's played by Henry Winkler, the Fonz. And it's all about Barry, and there's other gang elements involved, and it is in its fourth and final season. Fourth? Yes. Fourth and final season, and no spoilers, but it's ending. It seems to be ending very well. It's kind of, without giving any spoilers for Better Call Saul either, it's kind of like Better Call Saul in the way that it plays with time.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, my internet cracked out.
Damn your internet.
Damn my internet.
Uh,
So you're talking about Better Call Saul now?
No, I was talking about the 3 shows that are ending this month: Barry, Succession, and Ted Lasso.
You know, I don't watch any of those shows. like, I feel like
No.
I feel like a bad movie person, like a bad TV fan. I don't watch.
Have
any
you-
of those shows.
You want to switch over to a certain topic on James Gunn's Superman Legacy, because there's been some casting news. Not news per se, but like people are in the front running.
Yeah, well, yeah, we could talk about that a little bit. I've heard whispers, but I haven't actually looked at any of the casting.
So it's why am I blanking on his name? God damn it. Nicholas Hoult
Nicholas Hoult.
could very well be playing Lex Luthor, and I was like, whoa, that makes sense.
Okay.
He almost played Batman.
Yeah.
He's what we call a saucy looking dude.
Mhm.
He looks like a dude, like, you know, he's got that look about him, like that. He could play a Vulcan too. He could play a very mean Vulcan. I think Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah. The really interesting thing about Nicholas Hoult is how often he's been up for superhero roles, but for one reason or another, he's like missed out on so many big level projects because things didn't work out or because of previous deals.
He's played Beast. He's played Beast in the
Right.
X-Men movies,
Right.
but he didn't get the Batman role though. No.
Yeah, no, but that's the first time that I ever saw Nicholas Hoult was Beast in the First Class X-Men trilogy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make the noise of the typing.
Uh,
But yes, I'm trying to get the names. There's some British dude. I'm assuming he's British. I actually don't know, but just judging by his name and the way he looks, I'm like, he's
Yeah.
got to be British. He could very well be American. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know who this guy is. David Corn
Spooner?
Sweat.
Oh, Corn Sweat.
Cornswitz?
Yeah, Corn Sweat. Of course, he even sounds British.
Yes.
Corn
Cup of
Sweat.
tea. Cup of Earl Grey, old man. He looks like a Henry Cavill type.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what it's like. It's literally it's like we need a Henry Cavill type.
He looks like a younger version of Henry Cavill, and also in the photo that I saw of him when I was looking at the short list, I was like, if he's indeed our Superman, he's got to bulk up.
Yes, he's a very skinny Henry Cavill was like that too in the There's some movie he was in, some sword and sorcery.
The Immortal?
Was it The Immortals?
Yeah, yeah. He was in the.
He was
Immortals.
toned and fit, but he was
Yeah.
like, because of his
Lanky.
height, he was very lanky.
Right.
And it's funny how when you see dudes like him bulk up, they look shorter from a distance.
Really.
It's because they've gained the width. So like a tall guy, even like 6'1", 6'2", even like on that end of it, not necessarily 6'4", even. You can be muscular and tone, but you tend to look lanky and tall because this really goes to show how much fucking muscle Henry. Because you look at a picture of him in Immortals, and then the first Superman movie, it's like, holy shit, that's a lot of muscle, and it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
maintain. It really is.
Mm.
There,
Mm.
I there was a brief time where I was like, I worked out a lot, and it's like, that's unless you're committed or like you're an athlete or something, you ain't keeping that for any amount of months.
Yeah, it's a thing of legends. Like every time poor Hugh Jackman has to play Wolverine, the physical toll that he has to put his body through is like really, really. It's like really
He's doing it
insane.
now
He's
again
doing
in
it
his like
again.
late 50s. What is he? I don't know. He's 50s,
Yeah, I think
55 or
he's
something.
51. I think
Oh
he's like
really?
51. I think.
Uh, just tell us your general thoughts on your hopes for this movie. I will be right back. I just have to take care of something real quick.
Yeah, no.
Right
My
back.
yeah, my general hopes for the Superman Legacy movie. I hope that it brings back. I hope that I hope that it brings back a Superman that is sort of a mixture between the um la, 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 the Richard Donner Superman and a little bit of the Man of Steel Superman. So I would like a mixture. I don't want, 100% Richard Donner Superman or 100% Man of Steel Superman. I would definitely like a mixture. And if anybody at all can hit that type of tone, I think it'll be James Gunn. I don't know. I just think that I just think it's going to be really interesting for a caliber of uh, for 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 a caliber of of the storyteller that James Gunn is, to see him take on the original superhero is going to be so much fun.
I
And
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. And the fact, I just want to point out that Superman is my favorite superhero of all time. So the fact that James Gunn is going to be doing an adaptation of my favorite superhero of all time, that's pretty cool too.
As a kid, Superman was my first and favorite superhero. I remember seeing the Fleischer
Flashy
animated things.
cartoons? Yeah,
There was
I
a
love those things, man.
I think it was 80. It was like in 1988. It was a very I was very young. It was like an animated Superman show. I think it was from
Right?
88.
Mm-hmm.
And the movies until
Mm-hmm.
and then Batman came along. But I recently watched Superman 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You know what I've discovered? I don't like
What?
two things about those movies.
What?
Lois Lane and Lex Luthor. I like
Yeah.
Margot Kidder most of the time in those two movies, but like that flying scene where she's like doing that poetry read, the whole romance is
Didn't work for you?
cliche and cringe. Like in two, when they're like go to the fortress and sleep together, and he gives up his
Yeah.
powers and gets beat up in the bar. I'm like, ugh, I hate all this. Gene Hackman is a great actor.
He's
I'm like,
he's very
I
cartoonish.
don't like Lex.
No.
I've discovered after all this time, I'm watching, like, I just don't like. Lex Luthor's never been interesting in anything.
No, I
And to
mean,
me, he's so iconic because I have such an early impression of him as Superman's nemesis, that I
mhm.
didn't only realizing in my old age, like, I don't fucking like the character or anybody who's really played him. Kevin
No, I mean,
Spacey, Michael Rosenbaum, Gene Hackman. I've never really gotten Jesse Eisenberg. Never really gotten into it.
for me personally, the best iteration of Lex Luthor, hands down, ever, is Michael Rosenbaum. As he
In
plays Lex
Smallville.
Luthor in Smallville. But again, guys, I just have to mention that Smallville. is the show that reignited my love for Superman in the first place. So anything I say about Superman, you guys cannot take anything with any grain of salt because I'm biased. I love the character and I love Smallville. So, but but to move to your point, PJ, Gene Hackman's portrayal of Lex Luthor in Richard Donner's Superman is way over the top, and it is a little annoying and at times, yeah. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, like when Zod's like, "Why do you speak to me this way when you know I will kill you for it?" I'm like, "Kill him."
Yeah,
And
kill
like
him.
the way he's negotiating with Zod and the guy, I'm like, oh. And like they kind of dismiss him a lot. And he's like, "No, no, no, you still need me. I know where Superman's lair is." Like, it's like,
Right. No,
and
kill
his
him already,
bumbling
please.
sidekick,
Otis.
Ned Beatty. God, I
Oh,
love these actors, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
Otis.
"Oh,
Yeah.
Mr. Luthor, do." And like
I
in the
yeah.
first movie when he's like, "Master Taskmaster," I'm like, "Oh
Mr.
fuck, this is cringe as shit, man."
No, but you know what? Look. I can look. I can say that that the performances of Gene Hackman and in Richard Donner's Superman films aren't that great. But again, I can't talk about those films really subjectively because I grew up with those films. I
Oh
acknowledge
yeah,
that
me
they're
too.
that I acknowledge that they have some problems, and I don't like some things in them. But I have a personal place in my heart for those films because I grew up with them.
Funny enough, I think Lex Luthor is at his absolute best and corniest and stupidest, and it's delightfully entertaining in
Hmm.
Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, where he's like
Really?
he's also the voice of Nuclear Man.
Oh
Nuclear
yeah,
Man,
that's right. Yeah. No,
I will hurt people. It's like, oh fuck.
I I I've actually blocked out Superman 4. Um but you know what? But you know what? I mean, call me crazy, but a lot of things in Superman 3 work except the Richard Pryor stuff. Just throw that out with the bathwater. But if you took out the Richard Pryor stuff and gave the Richard Pryor stuff to Lana Lang and made her more integral to the plot and put her as the primary person that was doing all these things unknowingly for these individuals and put her you know in the co-starring role, I think that Superman 3 would have been a lot better, but I hated um, Richard Pryor's character in Superman 3. I couldn't stand that guy.
Yeah, that the third one is like the when it starts getting like really Richard
Yeah,
Lestery.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
weird thing to say, but it's
Mhm,
like
that's very-
he kind of took over for Donner for the second one because a lot portions of the
Yeah,
second one were already filmed because they were filmed in the one
hmm,
chunk,
yeah.
and he put more of those comedic elements in it because you see the
Hmm.
Richard Donner cut, a lot of the more
They're
comedic
taken
elements are
out.
taken out,
They're taken out.
and then Richard Lester just goes full like the opening of Superman 3,
Oh,
that
so
like
bad.
bumbling kind of like sequence of events. It's like
It's so bad.
I
It's
I
just so bad.
I remember even as a kid watching Superman 3 when the thing that stood out to me is like, oh, this is just stupid and silly now, is when a lot of things you
Hmm.
could point out in these movies are stupid silly, but when the crosswalk people start fighting, like the
Oh yeah,
graphics,
oh yeah, the
I'm like,
crosswalk people. What the fuck is
what's
this?
going on here?
What the hell?
But see, James Gunn, I can't, I don't know how you do Superman well. It's like they like since those first two, maybe three movies,
Mm-hmm.
like how do you replicate the spirit of a Christopher Reeve for one thing? Like he's still the definitive Superman. Nobody else has kind of come along and taken up that mantle. You could say Henry Cavill, sure, but have they really given that character a lot? Like they gave him the one movie, and then he's in like two other movies, so you do have kind of a trilogy with him. But
No, but I mean, look. I mean, the hardest challenge when you're writing a Superman movie is you need to figure out who the fuck is Superman going to fight, because Superman is the most powerful is the most powerful hero on the planet. So who are you? So who are you going to find to give Superman the challenge that he deserves? Now the sorry, I got a bug flew in front of my face. sorry, sorry, guys. Now, the only person that could really kick the shit out of Superman and potentially kill him is Doomsday. But here's the problem with Doomsday. Doomsday is just a big giant monster. Doomsday has no he, like he has
Depth.
no yeah. He's not adept, so he's like a giant monster. So so I don't so I I'm very very curious about how um how James Gunn is going to do this. But when James Gunn a while back made his first public announcement as DC's president or co-president of DC, he did mention this particular anti-group that he was going to bring in to the DCEU, right?
Yeah.
And I postulated with a bunch of other people. I bet you that this group is going to be involved with Superman Legacy, and Superman is going to have a physical disagreement with this group and the way that they go about handling being a superhero.
And you know the show Superman and Lois. That's a problem they
I
have
love that
too.
show.
Like, how do you keep presenting challenges to like the strongest man? And
Right,
it's usually a case of, well, just other people have powers,
right.
and it always comes down to two superhero people throwing like CG throwing through
Throwing
a
shit.
wall, and like one of the worst things about Man of Steel is that the fight between Superman and Zod is so
It's so
high
real.
powered, and
You know,
it's you're just looking at a bunch of just CG artistry at that, but it's
yeah,
just none of what I'm seeing is real, and everything is just there's
yeah.
something
No,
about the practice. I know it's like you look at the way the effects were done back in 78 and 80 for Superman 1 and 2 and beyond, revolutionary for the time. There's one shot when the first time Superman is leaving Lois after they do the flyby thing together,
hmm
and you just see him just fly off, and its effect. To this day I still don't know how they did. Like, how did Christopher Reeve go off and then like off, and it's like a flawless effect, and some of those old school effects are just I could believe that back in the day you're like, I do believe a man can fly. Like, it's very high end practical effects. Obviously the option now is like all CG. How do you make that real and tactile and have the same emotional impact? Superman, what is it? Superman Returns tried to be really sentimental and romantic like that. Totally didn't work. Like Superman, like spying on Lois through the walls and stuff, and
yeah. I mean,
pining over
look.
her. It's like, ugh.
Look, I mean, if I could steal, if I could steal, uh, um, a quote from John Campea, Superman Returns is a good movie, but it's not a good Superman movie.
I would argue that's not even a good movie.
Look, look, and this is coming from a guy that I actually like Superman Returns. I'm actually a Superman Returns apologist. Yeah, but so no, I look. It's going to be very interesting to see how James Gunn utilizes a young Superman and how he's going to write him, and and what challenges is he going to make him face as as he grows up to be the Superman that we all know and love. Because the other thing that we need to mention is that this Superman is going to be possibly the youngest Superman we've ever had. He's going to be like around 2025, I think,
Yeah, it would
right?
make sense to keep him around for longer. I don't know. I'm so unsure about DC properties that are coming up. Kind of interested in the Flash. Don't know if
Uh,
I'll go and see it or not, but
I'm very interested
Aquaman,
in
have no
Flashes.
interest in. I don't. I mean, Shazam's gonna come on stream on Crave in a couple of days. The second
I
one,
have no interest in
I
Shazam.
watch all of these DC movies on Crave because they're there in 3 months anyway.
Really?
It's like I really don't see the point in the
Going
interest
to the theater?
in the continuing DCU because it's still there.
No,
Flash may resolve that.
no,
Make
but
it all.
no. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. All these DCE movies that are coming out now, they're not going to matter because Flashpoint is gonna is gonna wipe all this shit underneath the rug. So none of it is going to matter, huh? And then and then in 2020, and then in 2024, uh, uh, I believe, James Gunn and Peter Safran are gonna start anew with Superman Legacy.
Well, Superman Legacy's coming out in 2025.
Thank you, 2025. I was
Yeah.
1 year off. But when Superman Legacy comes out in 2025, that's when the brand new DC continuity is going to start. And yeah, no, but it's good. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to see where they go and what and what story they plan to tell throughout the first throughout the first phase. You know what I'm most interested in other than Superman? I'm really interested to see how they're going to do Swamp Thing and how they're going to bring in Swamp Thing into the whole fold and things like that.
Yeah, it's clearly going to be another elaborate universe with all kinds of like stuff in it. To
With
me, I've always wanted them to go to the Superman route that the Batman went, where it's like just
Batman.
just Superman, just like it is just Batman in the Batman. Speaking of the Batman, I find it interesting that we've had Superman shows like the '50s show and the cartoons, but the live action Lois and Clark, the Adventures of the New Adventures of Superman, the Adventures of Superman, and then you have Superman and Lois. But goddamn, they won't ever put a live action Batman on TV. Not since
Not one.
the '60s.
Oh my God! You're right. No, I know. Well. We kind of had live action Batman with Gotham, but that didn't really count.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We've had so many Batman adjacent TV properties,
Right.
and we have yet another one in the Penguin,
That's
which
right.
looks
that's
dark
right.
and gritty, and it looks very much like in the same vein as Matt Reeves' The Batman. It takes place after the events of Matt Reeves' The Batman. Here's the thing about that show. It can be good and it can look good and it probably will be good because Colin Farrell is good and it just looks like a high-end production. It's HBO.
Right.
But if you don't have Batman there, if you don't have Robert Pattinson showing up either as Bruce Wayne or something, or if they're doing this thing again with a Batman adjacent TV show with like, well, we really can't show Batman. It's going to irritate me.
Yeah. No.
And you know what? I've heard the criticisms of Matt Reeves' the Batman and how it's like, oh, it's not, it's not the kind of Batman. I'm like, when I watched that movie, it was exactly
The
how I
Batman you wanted.
imagined an HBO Batman TV series would be like.
Really.
Yes.
Okay.
And I actually think that universe would probably work better in an HBO format. Because even in the Batman, you had like the F word being spouted, you had darker elements. You had some fucking like close to R-rated kind of content. With HBO, you can kind of push that envelope still. They're still doing the Batman too. But like, goddamn, just if you're going to do another Batman adjacent show, you don't have to have Batman in it every, but like season finale, Batman shows up. You know, it don't even have. It
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be Robert Pattinson. You could literally just have a double. That would be. They've done that in other shows too, where like Batman will show up. What was that? What was that
Uh,
Nightwing show? I don't know if
uh,
it's still happening.
uh, Bur- um,
God, I don't know. It
oh,
was
Titans?
Titans. There was a whole
No, no,
Batman. There was a whole thing with Batman and that, and like he shows
yeah,
up, but he's like in shadow, and it's like you don't really
no,
see
but
him, and
no,
so
but
stupid.
actually, Batman, in Titans, Batman actually plays a role in Titans, but he's actually retired, so
Yeah,
he's
I know.
not
And there's even an episode where he's Batman's doing stuff, and it's like they don't want to show him. Even in that old show, Birds of Prey,
right
uh, that didn't last long. They had a brief shot of the Joker and that,
with the
and they
crowbar.
yeah, and they had brief kind of like Batman stuff. But they've always been so afraid to put a live action Batman like in the forefront. I mean, look at the Batman in the sense that you have Robert Pattinson in costume in a room full of cops, like in a room just investigating a thing. It's like on paper that seems kind of silly, but it really works in that way.
Right.
So if they don't even mention Batman in this Penguin show, I'm gonna be like, oh, I call bullshit on this.
Call Boost.
The bat. They'll probably say the bat one time,
The Bat one.
and there's like, and they're like, you're gonna hear on the TV, Bruce Wayne,
That's like I mean this is a really stretching it as far as the correlation is concerned, but that's like Rick Berman saying to the staff writers of the Next Generation, you can't write an episode and you can't mention Spock. I'm going, what? Why can't I do that? He's but like why? Why what oh and in the episode you're writing, Spock's father is gonna show up, but you can't mention Spock. Why not?
Speaking of Spock, we'll end off on a Star Trek note if we can.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, I've been rewatching Strange New Worlds. I'm like 3 episodes in of
Okay.
the rewatch. It's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
I said I like Discovery a little bit more, and Discovery I could take or leave. So like Picard season 3 has really been the best thing that's come out of live action Trek, and now we're going into second season Strange New
Stranger
Worlds,
Worlds.
which has some interesting ideas. I guess there's a
1 month
crossover
away.
between Lower Decks and
Stranger
like
Worlds.
Boimler and Mariner are going to be
And
on.
Mariner gonna show up. Yeah.
So there's some time travel stuff going on there.
Yep.
There's another time travel thing that has to do with Kirk and Lon because they're
Oh.
in some place in Toronto. It looks like because
Oh.
there's a. I thought it was an alternate a world where it's like it looks like Earth, but I think it is Earth in the past because you can see a guy with a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey in the background.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, I would doubt that team's gonna last another century. So then you have the Gorn. So I gotta admit, like Strange New Worlds, I don't even know if I'm gonna watch it right away. It's like maybe I don't know, but I'm not
No, I
excited
mean,
about it.
no, you know what? You know what? I actually just recently finished off a rewatch, and I still have issues with it. It's still nowhere near where I would want it to be, but I actually enjoyed myself more on the rewatch than I did the first time I watched it.
Yeah, it's easier to digest when you rewatch it. Like you give it time to breathe because I never really
Right.
watched it until
Right. I mean, look. I mean,
last year.
my one ask for Kiva Goldsman and the writing staff to do in Strange New Worlds is I want them to fix. I want them to give Rebecca Romaine more stuff to do because I felt that she was tragically underused in the first season, and I'm like, number one is the second most powerful person on the damn ship, and it felt like she was never there.
Yeah, I think they will give her a juicier role because they did a whole like arresting of her at that last.
Right? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, I just don't like. In the first episode, you hear Rebecca Romaine doing a voiceover, and Modern Trek has this thing where it's almost written by. It seems like it's written by an AI, where it's generic as hell. Like there are many stars in the sky, and galaxies, and we all know who we are until we discover something we're not. It's like this gobbledygook that doesn't mean anything. Like I can just hear in the second season of Strange New Worlds or the fifth season of Discovery, what we choose to believe. We choose to believe so many things in life, but what we really should believe in is ourselves. Our souls are like the stars, and our minds like the galaxies. And it's like this kind of like,
generic bullshit.
it's just generic as fucking hell. Sometimes we don't know who we are until we discover who we are. It's like, okay. And here's our fucking point to this.
And what are you
There's a lot of that gobbledygook in modern TV in general where it's like, it's just meaningless. It's like, okay, writers, I gotta think of something profound.
Try harder.
It's like,
Yeah. No, I mean, look, like, no, just
sometimes it's always like sometimes if you just think, if you just look inside, it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, enough is enough, right? I mean, look, I mean, one of my biggest problems the first time I watched the show, and it was still there when I did the rewatch, but it didn't bother me as much. I think the writing in season one of Strange New Worlds was pretty goddamn below the bar, and I really hope that it gets better. Although, if I'm to believe a friend of ours that you and I know, it's not going to get any better. but I refuse to believe him. But after 10 weeks, I'll probably go over to him and say, "God, you are right again."
I got my general enthusiasm for Trek is just
Down.
It's very gradually just fading to the point where
You don't
I
care.
remember I didn't watch 3 or 4 episodes of Prodigy one stretch, and like I watched them all. I'm like, oh, this is all really good. I liked it. I should do that more. I said I enjoy kind of like binging those animated episodes because they're only half hour or whatever.
Yeah, but
Someone's like, you shouldn't do that because it's bad for the analytics for the show. I'm like, my
Whatever.
view's gonna make a difference.
whatever. It's not
Look
gonna
at
make a
Picard. That got a lot of views, a lot of repeat views probably.
Yeah.
It was in the streaming top 10. I mean, they need more of that, you know. They should look at, and it's amazing to me how they knew they had Picard this whole time. It was months in the can. They knew what they had. They knew it was setting up potentially another series. And they made absolutely no... You know what they said? Oh yeah, this Picard show looks pretty good, and I think the fans will like it, and it's really setting up a great future for our franchise.
Yeah.
But let's do Academy show.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess.
It's fine.
But it's like...
And
If I was at the top, I would have been like, yeah, guys, let's put that Academy show on the shelf. Fuck, they shelved Section 31 about 7 times. Why not do it with the Academy show and say, you know what? People really love Jerry Ryan and Patrick Stewart and fucking all these people in Picard Season 3. They
Let's
fucking
do a
love
Star
it.
Trek
Why don't
Legacy.
we just do more of that? And Terry Matalas is just sitting on his hands like, well, okay, I guess you're not doing it then. And even in most recent interviews, he said, like, there's no movement. There's no
emotion, yeah.
people think like, oh, it's secret. And it's like, no, there's nothing happening.
No, there's nothing.
Not as of now that we know of anyway, but you know, who knows. And besides all these corporations and streaming giants now saying, hey guys, we can't be fucking pouring all of these millions of dollars in these expensive ass shows. We're gonna have to minimize, prioritize. You know what? I hate to be a negative Nancy, but maybe season 3 of Strange New Worlds, maybe that's enough.
Yeah,
I'd,
maybe.
I'd go for 5 seasons of Prodigy if I could. But
I'm not. I don't like Prodigy.
move on
Prodigy
to other
is
shows that are better. That's all.
No, Prodigy is the first modern Star Trek show under Alex Kurtzman, and you know how much I adore that man. Um, Prodigy is the first Star Trek show in the Kurtzman era that I don't like. It's
No.
just it's just not for me. And the only reason I tune into it is because of the Voyager connections and like the Janeway stuff and the Chakotay stuff.
Even Lower Decks, it's like, yeah. I,
I love Lower Decks. I like Lower
I like it.
Decks, Lower Decks, and Picard season 3. Those are my top two seasons of. Those are my top two favorite things of modern Star Trek.
Are you looking forward to season 5 of Discovery next year? Next
Yes, I
January?
am. Yeah, I am.
And the
I
fact
am.
that it's going to be the final one, it's strange that Discovery, for all
It's
like
so
the hate
weird.
it's gotten, has actually gotten 2 spin-offs
Yeah.
in
No,
Strange
wait.
New Worlds and the Section
No.
31 movie.
And Picard actually isn't isn't that technically a spin-off or no?
No, it's just the second live-action show in the Kurtzman era. It's not a result of
Of
Discovery, even though,
Discovery.
like, in a way, it is. Like, from a business point of view, you wouldn't have Picard if Discovery didn't do something. But I've always wondered, all of these years that the streaming services are like Netflix, Amazon. I can understand Amazon; they can afford. Apple can afford a lot of stuff. But like Paramount Plus and other places spending like a hell of a lot of money. You always hear that they don't make a profit. It's like
they don't make a
they're going to make a profit in 10 years or 5 years or whatever. It's like, well, Paramount doesn't seem like it can probably survive on its own. Maybe they
No,
need
but
to be absorbed by a larger entity.
Oh
Wouldn't it be
God.
crazy if Disney took over Star Trek?
Oh my God.
Disney, Star Trek, and Star
No.
Wars under the same. I think that would be
No.
a little too crazy. I don't know.
No, but actually, there's no possible way that the FCC would allow that the FCC would allow that to happen.
I would love for Apple to buy Star Trek. I don't know.
That
I
would be
think
that would be
they,
really cool.
if they had some kind of control over it, I think it would. I don't know. It would be a prestige element because they do make For All Mankind. I would even
They
say
do.
Amazon Prime because they made The Expanse, but then again, they made Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Ugh.
So you can't really trust them with money
No, you can't.
for making a good show. But whatever.
No, you cannot.
Okay, well, June 15th is when we're getting the second season of Strange New Worlds, and
Yep.
I hope it's good.
Yeah. I mean,
If it's the
I hope-
same old, if they haven't
hope so,
improved on
too.
it, I don't think it's going to be any good.
I hope so too. My fingers are crossed.
It's going to be super silly and super fun.
Yeah.
Well, before we go,
Sure.
since it's we need to mention the writer's strike, and
Oh, yes,
because
yes.
you are a writer yourself,
Yeah.
you're not in the WGA or anything,
No,
right?
no.
But writers, since the streaming stuff started coming into play, don't get the same kind of residuals that they did when, if you were to write an episode for, like, I don't know, Seinfeld or Just Shoot Me or something, you get a certain percentage every time that would air in reruns and stuff like that. It doesn't work the same way with streaming services. And of course, streaming services keep a lot of their analytics hush hush. And we know for what reason, so they don't have to dole out appropriate compensation for anybody who's involved creatively.
Right.
But the last time this happened was like 2008, was it?
2007, I think.
2007. And
It's
that's why we
2007.
got Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. No, guys. You think PJ is kidding? He's not kidding. That's why Quantum of Solace was so bad, because Quantum of Solace was like in mid-production, and then the writer's strike hit, and then Daniel Craig, God bless his heart, got decided, oh, I can write, which he can't, and we got what we got.
Yeah, it's I guess they couldn't find a good writer for that theme song either. But oh god, the worst James Bond theme song ever.
Actually, but I mean, look,
Da
it's
da
not.
da 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 da. That's all I remember. Da 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 da. But now there's a potential that this could go on for a while, and there could be a directors guild strike.
Yeah, that's right. No, but Hollywood has a huge problem on its hands, and essentially the studios have a giant problem on their hands because not only are they dealing with the WGA, which is the Writers Guild of America, but they're going to start dealing with the DGA and SAG, right? So usually what happens in Hollywood is that when one union strikes, the other unions support them in solidarity. So just imagine this cataclysmic issue that's going on here. Let's say this writer strike goes on for another 4 or 5 months. If the writer strike goes on for another 4 or 5 months, that means that when the directors come to the table to negotiate their deal, they're not going to play ball because they've already said that they're going to stand in solidarity with the writers. And SAG has said the same thing. So if that happens, Hollywood, excuse my language, is going to be fucked.
Do you think if they agree to a lot of the writers' demands, a lot of people are going to be sitting there with their arms crossed, like, now you need to write some good shit. We're giving you everything you want. You need to write the good stuff. No more of this CW shit.
No more of the CW. That was the best thing you ever said. No more of the CW shit.
Yeah, and I don't understand why every writer, at some point in whatever script they're writing, every writer, everyone, you can probably track this if I'm not completely exaggerating. You got this. I got this. We got this.
Yeah, it's the same
like
shit.
that wasn't in a lot of stuff. I heard it
kids.
from time to time,
Yeah.
but it's like I will watch a show consciously, waiting for somebody to say, "You got this. We got this. I got this."
Yeah. No, but
They've got this.
I really look for this writer strike to end. I really think that the studios have to sit down with the WGA, and I think that they're gonna. I think that they have to meet them halfway on their demands. I think a really important sticking point for the WGA is to actually end mini rooms. And the other thing, the other large.
Now, what's a mini room?
Okay, so a mini room happens when a show is first conceived, right? Before casting starts, before general production starts. What a mini room is a studio will take a small collection of writers and they'll put them in a room and they will say, okay, we want you guys to sort of generally come up with what the show is going to be about, and we want you to start working on potential storylines and things like that. Okay, but the studios, let's say Disney or Amazon, the studios don't consider a mini room like a full writer's room, so they won't give the writers full compensation for possibly doing weeks and months of work, which is ridiculous. Because if you're a writer and you're in a room, it's a writer's room. Mini rooms should not be a thing. Mini rooms are an excuse for production companies to take advantage of writers. So
Yeah.
So right.
Did you hear about God? He's the writer. He's the writer on The Bear, the show The Bear,
Yeah. What?
and how like he was, he's having a hard time.
Oh yeah.
And you just think in the back of your head, okay, whoever's writing this brilliant fucking show, and The Bear is is a breath of fresh air in terms of like well written, directed, acted, just like chef's kiss, pun intended. It is a real. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
No. Okay. Well, it is fucking good. It is. It's just. It's one of these things that when you sit down long enough and you watch it, you're like, this is an amalgamation of many different talents, writing, acting. Like it's like when, because it's for some reason, it's very very hard to make something entertaining. You can have a lot of good ingredients, but like put it together and it's like something's not right. So it takes a lot of fucking like luck, I think, and just like good chemistry in terms of like crew and cast. And The Bear has that. And you would think when you're watching this brilliant show that anybody involved in the creation of this can pay the rent and the carpet, can get by. Not the case.
Right.
Somebody writing that show who's going up and accepting an Emmy award or something even. I had to rent this suit and like cost me like everything I had.
Right.
Or something like that. It's so sad.
Yeah, no, but the writers who have a lot of power in Hollywood are the writers / directors. Like the Christopher Nolans of the world, that man has all the power in, he could do whatever the hell he wants. Because he's a writer, he's a director, and he's a writer. Writers by themselves don't have that much power. You think they have power because they create you think they have power because they create these amazing shows like The Bear, right? Or like Barry, right? Or like The Last of Us, like Craig Mazin. But those writers, they do have power, but they don't have enough power to live comfortably. Some of these writers are still living paycheck to paycheck or job to job.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately it is that way.
And I forget who it was. Somebody made a joke about how a writer was like, the only way I can write for award-winning TV is that my wife is the breadwinner.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the only way I could do this job, and because what happens is you'll have a job, you'll do it, and then it's done, and it doesn't matter how much that streaming show that you wrote for, how many the Stranger Things writers, or I don't know specifics, but like a writer for a streaming show wouldn't get the same compensation they would if they were writing for a network show,
right?
Because you're writing for CSI Miami or any of these shows that are on network television. That's a good gig, and it seems like
that's a good gig.
It's like they're not incentivizing people who are up and coming writers to want to work for streaming. If that's the case, it's like
because network TV has a clear structure of how they generally pay their writers, right? But the problem with Amazon, the problem with the Netflix, the problem with Apple TV, or the problem with Paramount Plus, they don't have to adhere to those norms for network because they're streaming services, so they can do whatever the hell they want. They can treat the writers like trash if they want.
And it's crazy how it's like they don't compensate people well enough, but they pour obscene amounts of money into, and I don't know what it is, but it's always been the case with these streaming services that it's always quality and it's always quantity over quality. It's like, let's make a bunch of stuff. Somebody had an idea of like, if you had a budget, your yearly budget for your streaming service for movies, say, was $1 billion. Oh no, let's say 800 million.
Right? Yeah, 800 million.
You could make 4 really big budget blockbuster things to put on your streaming service, or 10 $10-80 million movies for like, a good bit. Or you could take 100 million of that and make a bunch of really good indie, like, fund people with some fucking ideas. And like something, because there's so much they put out there that it's, so you watch 10 minutes of like, I've seen this a million times. There's nothing about this that stands out.
That's the other problem. I believe that big Hollywood, that the center of Hollywood, right? The big studios have really have lost their imagination. They don't care about creating new shit now. All they want to do is do reboot after reboot after reboot after reboot after reboot. You can't do that shit because, listen, the kids growing up now watching these movies, the only thing that they're gonna have is reboots. They're not gonna have good original movies like you and I had when we were growing up. We fucking had the Goonies. We fucking had E.T. We fucking had the Jurassic Park, right?
In reality, there are more original movies than there's ever been,
right.
but there also is more remakes, reboots. It's just that the remakes, viable franchises or known properties are safer bets.
Right, that is true.
And you ever notice like the people they give the most creative control to? It can backfire, like with Taika Waititi with Thor: Love and Thunder. Worked great with Ragnarok, not so much with Love and Thunder. It seems like he didn't give a fuck when he was directing that. Sure, he tried, but even he was like, I'm just doing my thing. But it's like when they give Matt Reeves the Batman, like it or hate it, it is a visionary kind of film. It is much like Tim Burton had his way. This is a way too. And James Gunn with Guardians 3. That's a good Marvel movie, and it's surprising to see one. It's like even at the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is kind of gonna be like Volume 2, where it's like,
great. No,
it's not, I didn't think Volume 2 was very good, but it is a good, fun, emotional movie, and
ride,
and it has a good story structure, and it has a good build up and a climax, and it has all those ingredients, and you're like, you know why this works? Because the studio wasn't stupid enough to fuck with James Gunn's vision. I'm sure there's notes, but
yeah, there was notes. No, but look, when James Gunn came back to Marvel after getting fired by what's his name?
Kevin Feige.
No, but by Alan Horn. He after he got fired by Alan Horn for 10-year-old tweets, when he came back,
got fired from Marvel, yeah, right,
yeah.
Then he went over to DC.
Yeah, but when he came back to Marvel and he spoke to Kevin Feige about doing Guardians 3, his only condition was he wanted to tell a story about Rocket. He wanted to tell the origins of Rocket, and that's how he wanted to find his way into the movie. And he said, if Kevin said no, I was going to walk. But smartly, Kevin said, okay, you want to do a thing about Rocket? Go and do that. And Kevin didn't get in his way.
And same thing with Ryan Coogler too. I think he's a good visionary director that when you let him do his thing, it works too. Because the only two really good movies in the last phase of Marvel were Wakanda Forever and I say Guardians is the new phase. So, and I haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That's going to be on Disney Plus. That movie just on the surface doesn't look any good at all, and you're thinking, oh, maybe when it comes out, people will be like, no, it's really emotional. It has a good emotional core. And if it did, it probably would have worked against all the green screen bullshit.
I mean,
but Guardians is the best in years.
Yes.
I can't remember what's as good as Guardians 3. I can't remember. People would say Avengers Endgame. It's the best
And,
one since Avengers Endgame. And I'm thinking like, is it? I think it
yeah, no,
might
it is.
be.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah,
It is.
it's crazy.
No, I mean, yeah, it's just I mean, look, that shows you what Marvel can be if the people behind these films put all their heart and soul into doing something. You know?
But I don't want James Gunn's Suicide Squad or Guardians sensibilities in Superman.
No, 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 no,
I know that
no.
he
That's
can
not gonna
handle the
happen.
serious stuff with Guardians 3. Like when it gets serious, it's actually really good. So if he can kind of maintain that, not get too far off kilter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to see what happens.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us, folks. Thank you, Joanne Robertson, for watching. And to all the people, many people who will watch because we were talking about John Campea and
Earlier.
call him this and that and the other thing. That's not nice. No, no. Wish John the best. I hope he. No, he's
Yeah.
gonna retire soon. It doesn't really matter. Who's the next John Campea?
That
Let
you know what?
We're the next John Campea. There we go.
Yeah,
We are.
right.
No, I do see other like amateurish kind of like, which is not. I mean that disparagingly. We're trying to do that movie news thing,
hmm
but it's.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
You look at his channel, man. It's like a lot of work and a lot of precise. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and when you actually go and do it for yourself, like we sit down here and do this,
Oh yeah.
it's so much simpler a setup.
Than what
We don't
John
even have
does.
graphics and notes and nothing like that. Well, people like go through a lot of effort, and then people like, you fucking suck. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
man.
like with certain YouTubers that I got sick of, I just stopped watching because
Yeah.
life's too short to be angry at everything, and
hmm
I'm learning every day, just like we all are, Marcelo, to
Yep. Just let it go.
appreciate the good stuff. All right, thank you, Marcelo, for being here. This was a
No,
great
thank you.
chat, and until next time, folks, live long and prosper.